everybody. It's been a while, but once again, welcome to the Professional Goblins podcast. I'm one of your wonderful hosts. I'm Scott Gladstein, and with me, as always, is...
Hi, everybody.
And always with us, I'm not giving you an awesome introduction today, Savannah, but...
I see how it is. Anyway, yes, Savannah Broadway, currently accompanied by my co-pilot, Pelly the Cockatiel.
The one that we can't see, so...
Yes, well, you know, you just gotta take it on faith. She's present.
the imaginary...
Probably.
And I will give Eric...
I mean, you don't know. I could be her right now and having murdered the real Savannah.
I see. That I believe is quite true. And today we have the stupendous, the wonderful, the amazing, the mustachioed Eric. Eric, how are you today?
Oh, doing good. I don't know if all that's true, but yeah, doing good.
Hey, man, fake it till you make it. So we know who you are and why you're wonderful and stupendous, but not why you're mustachioed, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. So who are you? Why should they care? And tell us a bit about yourself.
My name's Erik Evjen, obviously. So currently I'm writing for EN World's Infighter program as actually freelancer. I'm the company owner of IGRE Publishing, which is a small independent role-playing game imprint. In my home state of Montana, I run the Sandbaggers Game Club, which is kind of one of the largest game clubs of its type, independently ran. It's not attached to any game store
cool.
or any type of outside publisher. And that's located in Great Falls, Montana. I've assisted in a number of conventions over the years, AetherCon, Online RPG Convention, a number of Montana local things. And I've also assisted as a local coordinator for the D&D Adventures League for some time.
So, think of it.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Just a little bit. I had to fix something on there.
And your stuff is IGRE. That's mostly like old school role playing type materials, right?
For the most part, I prefer older style. I'm a pretty big fan of the old school Renaissance or the OSR, so I do follow up pretty frequently on that. Honestly, I've been writing a lot more material for 5th edition as of late, along top of a couple different game systems I'm currently working on.
Oh yeah, 5th edition's very nostalgic and obviously trying to capitalize on the OSR Renaissance. So
Oh, in a big way, yeah, definitely. But I do really like how 5th edition's gone along those lines.
Sorry to our viewers, I am just adjusting our screen capture a little bit because it's a little wonky at the moment. All right, so hey, today I'm actually able to pay attention to everything because I have my laptop here.
Witchcraft.
I know, right?
whose cell phone?
It's my cell phone and not someone I want to talk to.
Right.
So I have to turn that off.
So we do a formatted show, and normally we open with a review, but we didn't have anything to review. So Eric, if you send us something to review, the next show we'll open it with a review.
And not too big, not too big.
Yeah, please,
40
keep it
pages
at,
are
40 pages tops. But yeah, first we'll talk about favorite characters from games that we're currently playing in, or a character story where we learned something important about role playing. There's a teachable moment involved. So,
well, guys, it's been a while, and I have played a few games. I actually did a live action one twice since then. But I will not be talking about that today. Does anyone have anything they want to kind of start off with?
I have a pretty good one.
All right, Mike, go for it.
Go for it.
All right, so I have this game group I'm running for my best friend and some old high school buddies and stuff, and it's called On Turbine Wings. And it's set in Mists of Akuma, where their goal is to just build a plane and then fly it across to the deadland continents that they don't know what happened to them. I know what happened to them. I'll tell you all, it's nuclear fire. So if they get there, they're going to be very upset. But
oh no.
Yeah. So they're building a plane, and they're getting money together, and they have plans, and they're turbine wings, right? So currently they were in Shibai at the end of Scourge Robai Shida Temple, and they just stole the magical wind chimes they're supposed to return to permanently kill the demon that's plaguing the town. So that place is fucked. And they followed the
Oops.
Yeah, right. I should have known as soon as Benji got his hands on a magic item, he was just going to keep it. But yeah. So they finish it, and they've already decided fuck this town, we're just keeping these things. I'm like, okay, well, as you're leaving, you see this, you hear a scream, and they all, I want to see what the scream is, And this merchant that they were dealing with is like dead on the ground, but he's not human. He's a rat folk Kangoo Yokai, and they're like, what the fuck? And they follow the murderer's tracks into the mountains. They're pretty sure it's his wife. And she loses them because of an encounter with snow leopards. And not really the snow leopards, because they killed the snow leopards pretty quickly, but the snow leopard babies,
Aww.
they instantly gravitated towards. And like even the like weird steam-medic that wants to fuck everybody, she finally found something she didn't want to fuck. And she just like deeply cared for these snow leopard kittens. The druid wild shaped into a female snow leopard, their mother actually, because like that was the one he'd seen, and fed them, which was weird because we talked about like, well, you're a dude, can you? I mean, I guess you can become a lady thing and produce milk. Yeah, all right. So it was a good one of the 5
I mean, it makes no more or less sense than the fact that you turned into a snow leopard.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Like, if you can turn into a snow leopard, you can turn into a milkable snow leopard. So
Oh, it's kind of like the Amorphs books. They just turned into whatever, like, sex of the animal that they'd absorbed or whatever.
Exactly. And they just need a mom and a dad, so they had a female, you know?
Yeah.
So they, like, nurse these things back to health and take them with them, like, over the mountains, and they're illegally in Namita Prefecture, which is fucked. In all the prefectures of Mists of Akuma, Namita is the one that is most fucked, because they were all about, like, lumber, and the Kengan occupation just stripped all the resources away. So they have no economy. It's about to, like, the whole place is about to collapse. Anyway, they get into a city. They pay their way in. They bribe the guards and stuff. They meet this noble
As
woman.
one does.
And I'm like, okay, well, this would be a good way to move into something. And they set up a meeting with her, and she wants to, like, acquire one of the snow leopards. They refuse to give it to her and have a very nasty confrontation in the middle of her, like, estate. And then samurai just, like, waylay him.
Oh, no.
I tried to get him to escape. I was like, there's a forge that no one's using over here. There's probably a chimney in there. And they're like, no, we're just going to take these samurai. I'm like, you saw there were like 20 samurai when you were walking in, right? They're like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, okay. So they get their asses beat by samurai and imprisoned. And then they manage to like break out of their little jail, and they stage a break. And then the one guy's like, look, there's a chimney. We can escape. But then the steam medic is like, not without the snow leopards. So they like try to cause a distraction. They managed to get into the zoo. There were like 2 or 3 times when I'm like, oh, they're going to escape. They're going to make it. And then they didn't. And the druid was like, well, to make the snow leopards easier to take out of here, I'm going to put them in the bag of holding.
Oh,
and
no.
I was like,
Oh,
okay, cool,
no.
dude. So he puts them in the bag of holding,
For
and
air?
then like they all get knocked out except for the steam medic. The steam medic rolls a 20 on her death save, so she wakes up with 1 hit point and is smart enough to act like she's inactive, right? And they don't know anything about fucking robots, so they're like, okay, this thing's unconscious. So she watches as they pull, because they like she even spent her inspiration on their intelligence check to realize like where did the snow leopards go, and then like look into this bag, and they rolled like a 2 and a 4. So she had to watch as they pulled the corpses of the snow leopards out.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
You need a bottle of endless air for that stuff.
it was
Oh.
pretty fucking epic, honestly. Like I was like, oh, should I just fiat this? And I was like, no fiat. They are
God.
dead kittens.
Mike, you are terrible.
But Jillbot has found her character, so I'm really pleased with that.
There you
And
go.
they're now in a gladiator type thing, and they're very much digging it. So you know, it's all good.
So, Mike, you reminded me of I was gonna do the surprise bear one, but I remembered. So the last session of that game I was running, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. Running for a bunch of other video game developers actually, over at Riot Games and a few other associated friends. Not Riot. Oh my God. Lauren, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Anyway, oh my God, what the hell? I'll think of it like 20 minutes from now. But anyway, they develop awesome dating sims. But they these guys were trying to defeat this temple. It was causing storms in a world. So they run away from the bad guys who are chasing them. They have a big battle, and they find a cave. And they kind of go, oh, well, we were trying to get back to it. And then they realize the cave goes deeper in, as caves and RPGs tend to do. And they're heading along, and players are like, I had to make a perception check to spot something, and they're like, oh, I found that. And then, hey, teachable moment. And then one of them's like, wouldn't it be funny if like there was one of those like, lurkers above on the ceiling? I'm like, fuck, they guessed my goddamn encounter. So I have to be like, it's over Discord, so I'm just have to be like silent while they're talking. But they're like, yeah, then you can do one below, and I'm like, God damn it, you know my. So they can tell what my encounter is, and I have it ready, and so they come across a chest, even though they've talked about this. They're like, I opened the chest. It was a mimic, and so they're like, oh God, a mimic, and they're trying to fight it and whatever. And then I'm like, on their turn, I'm like, hey guys, make a perception check. And they're like, oh, God damn it. And they look up, and it was a lurker above, and they spotted it. Now, I adjusted the lurker below, which is like a few CRs ahead of them. So I had to dumb the stats down a bit. It was basically just like a lurker above with, the ability of the lurker below. And they're sitting there, and they're like, wow, that's really weird. I wonder if there's going to be like one on the ground. And I'm like, it's predictable, I know. Shut up, guys. And they make a perception check, and sure enough, there's a lurker below them. So I got to do the full room mimic thing, and it was really amazing, and it was way more lethal than I thought it was going to be. Like, no one super died, but like a few of them got really close.
I was just gonna say, I think I did with my other in the other group. They fought the wall because like the On Turbine Wings went the right route, so they fought an Iron Maiden Tsukumogami, and the other team went the left route, so they walked into the wall Tsukumogami, or inside of it, rather. Yeah, it was like it is always a good encounter because they're like, "Fuck, wait, I can't see them." I was like, "No, it's in its stomach, and you see the thing peel off the wall. You cannot see him. He is inside of a stomach made of concrete." Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we had that. They made it through. They broke into the side of the dungeon and completed their thing. So that game is now on pause for a bit, probably indefinitely. But I still have an encounter written up. But yes, even if your players know exactly what you're gonna do, you can still make it a fun encounter. But I just had to be deadpan, like with my voice. I'm just like, yeah, that'd be funny. So, Eric, you got anything you want to talk about?
Oh goodness, I'm trying to think. I've been like thinking about this all week of stories to tell. So kind of tying off of that, honestly, one of my favorite creatures when I'm running as game master to throw in that nobody expects is the piercers.
Piercer?
That just kind of hang on the ceiling. Since 99% of players I've ever had never check for the ceiling or anything. Yep. It's like, oh, I'm just going to go to the next room. Going to go to the next room. So anything that hangs up on the wall as a fun GM tip that can just drop on a player character is a fun creature to have around, since 90% of the time they're not even going to notice it. They're just going to wander right under it and get glumped. Thinking of fun character tales as of late. Actually, one project I'm working on right now is going to tie into that later. But thinking of fun things my player characters have done was actually not too long ago. They had a chance to build their own dungeon, so it got called the Fungeon.
Fungeon? That's amazing.
The Fungeon. So
please tell me that there were like malevolent fungi in there or something.
I think at one point there was.
Okay.
So the concept of the Fungeon was literally, so instead of a 5 by 10 or a 10 by 10 corridors, it was literally at crawl space levels. So the wall ceiling was about 5 feet tops throughout the whole entire dungeon. You had several different kind of branch offs. So one branch off just led straight into a false wall gelatinous pit or cube on the other side. You had an itty bitty well with a giant dragon kind of just hiding in there that they had managed to convince, it's a good idea to stay in this well. So, anybody that tries to fall in the well, you can just eat them. And everybody squeezing through this tiny little space in the wall there, you can eat them as well. So they managed to get him. There was a big old spike trap. So it was literally just not like entirely lethal, but it was just built to be just as annoying for the player characters to get through as possible. Or, anybody else that wandered in there was just literally had to crawl. You had a gigantic little spiral staircase at one particular section that still had that little ceiling. So you're trying to crawl really awkwardly around in a spiral staircase, and a lot of people would just trip down and fall, stuff like that. So, yeah. So honestly, something I really like is just, letting the actual players have a little input in how they want to build their little strongholds or whatnot, I guess is the fun lesson in that.
Encourage player investment, always.
Oh, yeah, definitely, because they take ownership of it if you give them that amount of input on what they got.
I had this character, and I was so mad. The GM and I made all this stuff for him to make a battle tank, and then he just, died somewhere, and the party just didn't resurrect him, and I was like, fuck.
That's rough, man.
It's like 4 or 5 pages of rules.
That's the fun thing, actually. Yeah. There's one player of mine named Paris, and he plays this character named the Doctor, and that guy built pretty much like a medieval Da Vinci siege tank during a recent little skirmish, I guess would be the best way to put it, like massive ending battle of all doom and such. But so he comes up with the concept of, okay, we're gonna use 8 or 10 dwarves, just kind of pushing a little crank engine to get this thing moving, and then you got an actual cannon on it, and you have ballistas on the side, all sorts of little silly stuff. Then there was an airship at one point somebody built, but that one only lasted a single volley from another ship before it sunk. So, yeah.
All right, Savannah, what you got this week?
So I actually tried out a new system here in the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
It's called Apocalypse World. And
Ooh.
it's really good. I've never picked up a system quite so fast.
Which one?
What's that?
Apocalypse World or Run by the Apocalypse?
Apocalypse World.
Apocalypse World. Okay.
Yep.
So that sounds familiar.
My favorite part is the attributes. They are, let's see, cool, hot, hard, sharp, and weird.
Can you go over what hard means? Because I'm thinking something entirely different. Because you're just hot and hard, and I'm like, what? You had it in the first one?
Yeah, no, it's very much on purpose.
It's the same fucking thing. It's Apocalypse World uses the play Powered by the Apocalypse. I was right. Okay.
There we go.
Yes. All right. Now I'm familiar with that.
But yeah, so the difference, hot is you're very sexy and charismatic, and hard is basically how ruthless and physically relentless you can be.
Got it. Physically relentless.
When you attack someone, you're going aggro on them.
Got it.
So hard is what you roll when you're going aggro. Cool is how you are under fire. Sharp is reading people and situations. And weird is opening your mind to the psychic maelstrom and doing stuff with that. And I really like it as a system because my character that I designed is called a Hocus, which means that he's essentially a cult leader, which is deeply shocking to everyone who knows me, I'm sure.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, he's very obvious about being a cult leader in this one, so that's kind of a subversion, but not. But anyway, so point being is that he is not combat capable at all. In theory, he could pick up a gun and shoot someone with it, but he's going to be shitty at it, and also they're hard to find because it's the post-apocalypse. But they have a lot of things in place for you to support your other players in combat. Keep an eye out, depending on how well you roll. You can, choose a number of options. You can keep your allies from getting hurt. You can help them do more damage. You can, hinder the enemy in some way. And it was really nice to run, a primarily social / weirdness character and, still be able to help the battle babe shoot someone's brains out. It was great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I think I told you about this before. When I went to Gen Con to run what I thought was apocalyptic superheroes, but it was teenage superheroes using Powered by the Apocalypse.
I don't remember that, but
that's another.
I believe you.
That's a story not for the show. It's a story not for the show.
Oh, fair.
Yeah.
I will take your word for it.
Narratively driven system. I will agree to that. It was cool design.
Yeah,
Right.
we're basically running it as a Mad Max movie, and it's very enjoyable.
Yeah, that's the thing about Powered by the Apocalypse. You can hack it pretty easily to do really whatever kind of storytelling you want. If that is, Mad Max or Teen Titans Go, it's viable in each.
Are we getting to that discussion later today?
Oh, are we doing the Thundercats talk?
Are we doing the Thundercats talk? We might do the Thundercats
Well,
talk.
third,
Are we doing the Thundercats talk?
Projects.
Yeah, we'll get to that later, but
these are things that are not Kickstarters from that we are working on or have worked on recently. So
who wants to take it away?
Okay.
For Mike.
I have released more books for the Book of Exalted Darkness. So if you are lame and want to be a holy do-gooder, I got this guy. And then if you are cheap and just want all the cool evil shit, I have this guy. I'm just like, I feel weird if I'm more than 10 feet away from one of these books. But
I think that's called a horror crux, Mike.
Mike, have you considered consulting a priest?
Never. I can say honestly, I have never considered consulting a priest about anything. No.
Okay. I'll say something nice at your funeral after we find you devoured by the book.
I hope you drink heavily at my funeral like everyone else. But
I mean, yeah.
No. The stuff that I've been working on that I want to talk about is Mists of Akuma. I converted all the Mists of Akuma adventures to Shadow of the Demon Lord, and I put them through layout, and they're in pre-media now, and I should be ordering a shitload of books tomorrow, which I'm super stoked about. Because, it's a silver bestseller, and I'm very surprised at how enthusiastic the minions of the Demon Lord are. So,
Yeah.
And then I'm working on the Trade War stuff, so I finished the connection between Adventures 1 and 2, and I'm almost done with the connection between Adventures 2 and 3, so I have like 3 or 4 more connections to write. And then that adventure path will be done, and I'll put it all through layout. And I already figured out like the artwork for it and some of the cooler stuff, like in Feud Primordial, in Scourge of Robo Shida Temple, there are these 2 like jackasses called the Mubo brothers. One's very strong, one's very tough, and they have these portable cannons that they sort of just like indiscriminately blow up houses with as they kill monsters. And the PCs will inevitably fight them in this adventure and kill them. So in Connection 1, they meet the 3rd Mubo brother, who is Kyuchu the Wise, and he's like a sniper. So he sets them up like in a valley, he causes a rock fall behind them, so there's like a long lane of travel where he just picks them off with like special rules that he gets to use for shooting them in the head or the leg or whatever. And then in Connection 2, they meet Torasudo the Canny Torasudo, and he's the smart one. So he has like created a death trap in a warehouse. That's just like, did you guys ever see the Gun Crazy movie, the redone version in like the 2000s with Clive Owen?
Nope.
It starts with him like delivering a baby and shooting the umbilical cord. Am I the only person who's seen this? He eats like 10 carrots. It's a great movie.
I have never witnessed this.
Mike,
Phil Giamatti's in it, man. It's great.
Mike, I kind of like, part of me wants you to be making it up, but also part of me wants to watch it.
Not making it up. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's definitely a tongue-in-cheek action movie, but
love it.
In it, he makes like a warehouse trap of guns because he's a gun genius. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but that's what's going to happen in the second connection. And I don't know what I'm going to do with with the dexterous Mubo brother I think for the charismatic one, it's going to be like he gets a mob to attack everybody. But I'm having a lot of fun with it.
So are there all 6 siblings?
Yeah, there will be 6 total, 1 for each attribute. And then in addition to that, you encounter, in the first adventure, you kill like an autumn demon, sort of. So in the first connection, you have to kill a winter demon that's like an ice arachnid. And then the third one, you have to get this summer demon. So he is called Shida Tebru, the Corpse Eater. And you catch on to him after he's already had something like 200 plus 5d6 corpses. And if he gets to 314 corpses, he transforms into a much more terrible monster. And when you do kill him, he discorporates into flames that can automatically detect the nearest corpse, and then it just flies to it, embodies it, and Shida Tebru comes back.
Yay.
Yeah, no, I've been having... I don't do a lot of sequential adventure stuff, so this is a little bit new territory, and I'm really digging on a lot of it.
Sweet. So Eric, what are you on at the moment?
Ooh, okay. Well, there's a number of
talk
different
about?
things. A lot of different things. Let's see. Currently, free in world, we just did some magic trinkets. I got another big surprise I'm actually working on with Mike here. That's going to be coming up in a future issue there. Yeah.
We can talk about the Mahout. I started playtesting it.
Ooh.
Yeah, I had a dude who had a... So the Mahout is a 20 level class, and it's something I wanted to make, but I don't have as good a group of playtesters as Erik does. So I called Erik in because I know it's going to be complicated. And the idea is that you get to have a monster pet, and not like... You can have like a wolf if you want, or you could have like a cockatrice, or anything that falls into one of these like 3 fields that are very broad.
And then you could have weird stuff.
Okay,
like
but why would you have a wolf if you could have a cockatrice?
That is the idea. That is the idea, like to be a monster trainer. Like I got the idea, like how cool would it be to be the guy who trains the what in Star Wars?
Rancor.
Yeah, the Rancor trainer. How cool would it be to be the Rancor trainer in Adventuring Party?
So,
Like,
real quick, is
that'd be
this
cool.
for Pathfinder or 5e or what?
5e.
Okay, 5e.
But yeah, it wasn't nearly as unbalancing as I thought it was going to be at first level with the certain limiters that we have in. So, but please continue. I'm sorry.
No, quick question. Why would you have a wolf when you could have a cockatrice?
I'm not arguing with you. That's why we're making the class. Although, I do have some notes on the cockatrice and a couple of other monsters, because like the rust monster is fine as long as you're not playing in like Eberron, in which case the rust monster would be wildly overpowered. And pretty useless if you're playing in like a Conan game where very few people have metal. So like, some context is required.
Which I am going to say is completely out of line with the original Conan stories. Just saying.
Oh yeah, was there a ton of metal around the Conan stories?
Conan wears armor all the fucking time, man.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
I'm not familiar enough with the comic depictions to say, but it actually points out in several of them where he's like, yeah, no, I wear chainmail. Those guys died because they wore leather. Like, fuck that. Yeah. Okay. Apparently, he can just use stealth seamlessly in chainmail because he's a Mary Sue.
He's going
well.
But, whatever. The system doesn't use much metal rust monsters. I have many strong opinions. I've listened to so much Conan the Barbarian recently.
Always a fun time.
Conan the Barbarian and James Bond. I'm getting like weirdly inundated in cis dude culture. It's strange.
All right, so Erik, continue, please.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. But yeah, we're working on that class, which is going to be a lot of fun once we actually get it out. Then other things actually that is coming up here. The next couple days, I'm going to be at a convention in Montana called MizCon, which is short for MissoulaCon. And for my imprint IGRE publishing, I'm going to be announcing several different projects we're currently working on. A couple of those are related to, we're working on a D12 based role-playing game called Swordland RPG. So there's a core edition, which is kind of like a basic rule set that'll be provided for free, and then expanded is the actual full rule set. So we'll have some announcements for that over the weekend.
About Swordland, I always got the feel Lodos War off that. Is that inaccurate?
Lodos War has actually always been a pretty huge inspiration. Probably for me as a game designer, and then just kind of like for the aesthetics of the projects I work on, like kind of like a 80s, 90s, like overall kind of manga, anime kind of influence on the art design and direction. So that's always been prevalent. Like I would have to say a Record of Lodos War is one of my favorites when you're getting into that discussion. So there's a bit of influence from there, definitely for sure.
Okay. Sorry to interrupt again.
Oh, no problem. That's one of those things. People ask me that one a lot, so always glad to answer on that. But yeah, working on that particular game, I'm currently working with Charles White of Fabled Environments for another project that I can't really talk about until we make the official announcement, but that one's going to be really cool. So that one's going to be announced Saturday, actually, or Sunday of this convention. We'll be announcing that project.
All right, cool. Look forward to that. I think I have suspicions about what it might be, but I'm not gonna cat out of the bag.
It's gonna be big. It's gonna be a pretty big project.
All right. Well, Savannah, are you working on anything?
I'm finishing up the last round of vets for the Lost Age, and I'm making sock puppets for an upcoming game that I'm writing because I want to set the tone immediately, and that tone is very serious.
Sock puppet serious.
Thus the sock
like
puppets.
Hashtag sock puppet serious. I like it.
Does one of the sock puppets have a knife?
Oh yeah.
Is
None of them do yet. One of them's going to have a shovel. Does that count?
If there's a little blood on the shovel, I'll take it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, that is his primary melee weapon is a shovel.
Nice.
So, god damn it, guys, we took our little break on the show, took a little hiatus, as soon as I was doing a Kickstarter.
You funded? Good.
I funded by, like, a few hours. I think
Any landing you can walk away from, man.
Yeah, we successfully funded Naghual, which is I've been given this pitch like a million times, but basically it's a giant robot, Mesoamerican inspired RPG. Very rules light, its own system. We were saying internally, we're like, man, when we're pushing out a Pathfinder product, that is just so easy to like get funding for. But man, we did not have a tailwind this time. We had to fight it. We had to fight all the way up. But we funded, and I actually read in the show, they said we're gonna send you the money. I'm like, oh great, and it still isn't here yet. So lot of twiddling of the thumbs.
You got like a 2-week wait after.
Yeah, but it's been 2 weeks, and they just sent me the email this morning saying they're sending it out.
Huh.
So it's almost exactly like 2 weeks right now. And
did you like contact the Indie Gaming Network when you were doing it and stuff?
I did a lot of promotion. I don't remember who I reached out to. I went on another show though. That was cool. But anyway, let's see. We got Alt Path, Martial Magic, because we don't think that Martial and Magic have enough of a fun intersection. So we have like 8 classes coming out in this big book, along with about 24 alternate rules for making magic simpler and blending stuff and applying meta magics to your magic weapon and weird stuff like that.
Pathfinder, right?
Pathfinder. We're kind of trying to get all of our Pathfinder out before second edition hits. So let's see, we got that.
We've already been talking about what to do with Varanthia.
We still working on the Divine Dungeon with Dakota Kraut. He was on there last time, a few times ago. I put out a little simple game I put out. It's called Loki's Game. It's a little kind of chess-ish thing, and it's super simple, and it's a pay-what-you-want product. And I've played it with everyone from fellow designers to my grandmother last night. All you need is...
What did she think about it?
She liked it. She thought it was fun. It's not like it's about as complex as checkers, so it's not like you can only play so many games of it. But it's basically you have pieces numbered 1 through 5 on a 6x6 grid. In either corner there's a star, which is your home base. And when you roll a dice, you can either move any of your pieces 1 square, the number rolled 2 squares, or your opponents of the corresponding number once, in any direction. And it ends up being this really tactical, choose which is the best move, because sometimes moving one piece that you have isn't... That 2 space isn't the best idea. Fucking with them and moving it back there, because you can't move it back to the same square it was moved from, kind of messes with it. I don't know, it's a lot of fun. It's been one of those things we used to play behind the scenes for like 6 years. We just kind of like, oh, let's do a game of Loki's Game. And then I'm like, I should really put this out at one point. And we finally did. I don't know, it's just kind of fun. But yeah, we got a lot of Pathfinder stuff coming up. I'm working on a big Kickstarter I'll talk about in a bit. It's not my Kickstarter for once. But yeah, good times, and that's about it.
I did want to add that I finally got the balls to abandon back cover copy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just says, if you dare, book true evil. That's it.
Oh, so we finally decided to do... I'm allergic to physical copies, so we had some really bad experiences in the past. But I finally broke down a Naghual and said, all right, we're going to do we're going to give them we told people we'd give them an at-cost... promo code basically, so they can buy it at cost. That was one of the things we finally broke down and did. And I said basically it's going to be really simple looking, because I really don't like messing too much with print stuff. Cause
it's impossible to get fucking page backgrounds to be consistent with Lightning Source. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Like I like Lightning Source for less stuff, but guys, your page background it never works ever.
I'm literally doing a white page background. I hate to say it, but I'm doing black and white for that. I have a really pretty PDF I'm working on for Naghual and everything, but
I prepared at least 30 different page watermarks that just don't show up in the print at all.
I'm not even worrying about
black background, white background, yellow background. Doesn't matter.
I'm not worrying about it. I'm just gonna do it really simple. It's gonna be here's a physical copy that you guys wanted. There you go. We're doing playtest at some point soon, which will be fun.
The quality of the physical copies have gotten better over the past 5 years, by the way. I will tell them that I have no complaints about the actual copy and like the paper. I was upset when they made the move because it cost me a bundle, but you know, the 70-pound paper stock is good.
All right, so new favorite project that is not yours that you can't benefit
we cannot profit from the things we're talking about immediately. One that I thought I'm surprised because I still haven't read the Starship rules for Starfinder, but one that I'm surprised that is not in there is boarding rules. And Rogue Genius Games has a product if you expect to board other ships in Starfinder, which I would think you do, and that's why I'm amazed it's not already in the core rules.
Mike, you just reminded me of one thing. I've been working this utopian sci-fi thing, and I just did a super deep dive on ship combat rules because this is basically Starfinder with only ship combat, but exploration instead of combat. Long story, but I just did a super deep dive on them. I still don't know if I like them. I've played through the entire thing. I've done stuff. It's the best of like what it could be, but I don't know, man.
Someday I'll get there. But like I've been saying this whole time, I'm sure they didn't want to make ship combat too good because you need to get out of the ship to go and do the adventuring stuff.
Yep. So,
I mean, only one chapter is ship combat. How many chapters are not ship combat?
And ship building and whatever. So, the thing I want to shout out to is, I guess this is related to us. So I'm on a lit RPG kick right now. I don't know if you guys ever read Super Sales and Superheroes.
No.
That sounds familiar.
It is such a guilty pleasure. It is like there's so much like nerd fulfillment, wish fulfillment, fantasy stuff in there. It's a bit harem, and I'm not like super. That's like the part I dislike the most. But the most recent one, the second one just came out on audiobook, and you should go read it because there is so much neckbeard logic in there, and I love it. I just love how it's just like, well, technically, so this guy has the power to modify things he owns. So there's stuff like, because the city's owning slaves are legal, I can own them and mess with them and upgrade them like in the superhero setting. But long story short, he starts stretching the definition of what owns something means. Like, okay, if the owner is dead, can I do it? If the person hasn't touched it in 3 weeks, do I own it? If I claim it? If I fight you for it, do I own it? And like he starts tweaking how he can do stuff, and there's stuff like, all right, so like you can theoretically get the point cost for how much something would cost if you upgraded it in the to a certain state. So he's like, all right, so if I upgraded it to where this thing would be 6 months from now with 6 more months worth of development on this mech suit, how much would it cost? All right, and in 2 years, how much would, okay, so there's a bigger gap there. We're going to pay for the 6 month one, and look, I just did time travel. Or like, hey, I'm going to commission someone to write a report on like what happened for the next 6 months. All right, I'd like to buy a point upgrade that gives it to me now. Hey, look, I can see the future. I mean, there's wonkiness with it, but it's a very interesting series. If you get past the harem stuff, it is quite amazing. It's very much nerd logic stuff. Again, Super Sales on Superheroes, good series.
So I did get to read a little bit recently. Picked up some Warhammer 40k novels.
We'll get to that one. We'll get to that topic in a bit.
We'll get to that topic later. I didn't pick up those, but yeah.
So Eric, what do you got?
Well, I know it's something we're going to be talking about pretty shortly. The thing I've still been kind of wrapping my head around is Pathfinder 2nd Edition.
Is it out yet?
Not
yet. Got it.
They've been very steadily trickling.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just kind of, I honestly wasn't expecting they would go with a second edition for Pathfinder till much longer down the road. But
how much longer down the road, Eric?
It's been like 10 years, right?
It has been 10 years. That's 3 years longer than the regular RPG life cycle.
Yeah, I mean, it is the regular life cycle, but at the same time,
regular life cycle plus 3 years is what it is. The normal cycle is like 6 or 7 years. So, I mean, like, I was amazed they held out this long, frankly.
I think it was because they said that they would not make another edition initially.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, there was that, but just kind of, with that amount of kind of fan, what's the best way to say it? Yeah, just like that dedication that...
Mm-hmm. That was one of the things that pissed people off about Wizards of the Coast, is that you buy, like, 23rd edition rule books and, like, oh, it's 3.5 now. And it's like, oh,
yeah,
the
sunken cost fallacy.
Mike, but at least they're not as bad as, Games Workshop.
Oh.
Yeah.
Low bar.
Yeah.
Low bar.
What is it, 2-3 years
High
between
bar?
rulebooks now?
Yeah, they're desperate. All right, well, let's move on to talking about Pathfinder and Starfinder.
Savannah, you have anything you want to push out? You can plug?
Nope, not right now.
Oh, okay.
So we open up this section to direct everybody to the EN World FAQ. I'll put a link in the YouTube and stuff. It has all of the... It's very comprehensive. It's very, very, very comprehensive. Oh, hi, Alien Panda. Yeah, there's the EN World FAQ. He updates it frequently. He's been a little preoccupied lately, but yeah, it's the best place on the internet to go to find out more about Pathfinder 2nd Edition. So what was the most recent thing? Wizards, right?
So
yes,
let me
Wizards.
preface this real quick. I'm a bad developer. I haven't been keeping up as much on it because I've been working on Naghual like 24/7.
Oh yeah, I specifically haven't read it because I've been translating stuff from 5th edition to Shadow of the Demon Lord and also designing stuff for 5th edition.
so you're saying that you don't want like a
Steam after I saw that they're making their orcs look like gorillas.
Oh really? No
yeah.
way. No.
Not
way.
okay. Yeah, no, it was all over Twitter. Well, my Twitter.
Wait, that they're making orcs look like gorillas?
Yes.
So actually, that's really weird. I had a discussion with someone today. Who was I talking about? That orcs were in 40K are lizard-skinned gorillas. I forget who I was talking to about that. Wasn't any of you guys?
Where do you think
wasn't me.
I see Pandarans. I see your bird a lot. Savannah, where are they?
What? I didn't retweet it. I don't like it.
Oh, you said it was all over your Twitter. God damn it. Okay.
Well, yes. Okay, fine. It was on my feed. It's not on my personal wall.
Oh, that's not a new image. God damn it. So is there an actual image I should be looking for?
It was a concept sketch. I think it looked kind of like a Wayne Reynolds thing. I'll see if I can find it.
If you can find it, that would be amazing. I really want to see this.
Anyway,
I'm not necessarily against that. That is a big change, but I don't know if I'm against that change.
Are they still going with Wayne Reynolds for the main artist?
The lines between, like, considering half-orcs are really tribal and, like, really primitive, like, they're people of color analogs in a lot of ways, and making them more savage and grilly feels terrible.
Are they, like, covered in scrap armor with, like, a silly helmet and punching daggers?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. I don't know if this is it or not. Okay.
It's like a sketch. They're, like, running on all fours, I think.
Yeah.
Sort of all fours.
It's a little bit red ink.
Yeah.
Brown. Okay.
Like, put that in the Twitch chat, Mike.
I'm gonna get him.
So anyway, yeah, I mean, there's always been that issue. I mean, even down to Tolkien talking about it a little bit. Everyone who talks about Tolkien's like, yeah, it's, the dark men who are, let's pull this up on the screen here.
I think I can get with this.
One thing
I'm all about metal apocalypse shit, though. So, like, this is almost.
See, I feel like we could have gotten that feel minus what we got.
So the question is, can you remove orcs from people of color.
Oh, I never associated orcs with people of color. I've always associated drow with people of color, but not orcs.
I didn't.
I mean, that's another one.
I mean, orcs are green, and nobody I have ever seen in my life is naturally green. But I have known many naturally black people, so I feel like the illusion between drow and black people is much stronger. What you're talking about is cultural
that's
illusion.
true, but it doesn't mean
Americans and the like negative stereotypes they've been saddled with, and the tribal tenets and animalism of orcs. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah,
that's totally cultural. That's coded stuff.
Yeah. So the question is, can we remove that coding or no?
I mean, like I don't see it when I look at them at this point.
Interesting. So that's something I definitely always saw. And one thing that I
think like if I was an African American child and I was like looking in D&D book, I wouldn't look at orcs and see that as a representation of me or people like me, because the orcs don't look like me. Whereas drow would look much more like me, right?
So one thing I think they did well was 5e started off with that gorgeous looking fighter artwork. Mm-hmm. And I think and Pathfinder did the same thing with Paladin. And I think that's a very interesting. Once you start working that more in, you can start disassociate. I'm not the person to talk about this, by the way. Just full disclosure. But I feel like once you have a world that's populated with everything, you can kind of start going, okay, how much is that coded? And you can kind of start dealing with that a little bit more. Does that make any sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That seems logical.
Yeah.
Again, not the most qualified person to talk on this.
My feeling is that like everyone's going to have their own baggage, and so you have to make the only thing that I would really worry about is visual representation and connotations you draw from that, not what society's coded beliefs what inferences are drawn from that, because you have no control over that.
They've just already taken flack over, what was it? It was something involving a gorilla and the definitely not Africa part of Galarian. Like, they took flack over something gorilla related there that I cannot remember.
All right, so anything else second edition-ish?
Well, yeah, the wizard was the last reveal, so I was
Yeah.
hoping Eric could shed some light on that.
Well, it's going to be really interesting. They're playtesting that we're at PaizoCon this weekend as well. So one of the things is actually a first level wizard in Pathfinder 2nd edition starts with 10 cantrips and 8 first level spells. So they get a ton of stuff just at first level. And then they actually would prep out a certain number of these cantrips of the 10 they start off with.
10 and 8, are you sure? That's a lot. So they're just fucking throwing the resource system into the mixer? Is that what's happening?
Anna, it's weird because you're still going to have the spells per day.
So you're keeping it somewhat Vancian?
So context for people who might not know what I'm talking about. There's an assumption in the D20 versions of 3rd edition or of Dungeons and Dragons, which would include Pathfinder, where you are going to have about 3 encounters a day. Each encounter should eat up about 33% of your resources. That's how short rests are designed in 5th edition. That's how battle powers and stuff are designed in 4th edition. That's where the Vancian magic system really takes hold in Pathfinder in 3rd edition. So that's what I'm referring to when I say throw the resource thing into the mixer. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea. That's like very intriguing to me because the backbone of their the business model is adventures. So like like this means huge changes to the way that adventures are designed, which is
I wonder if it has to do with, can't you cast more than one spell per turn, like if you use your whole turn and all that?
So the way that casting in Pathfinder 2nd edition work depends on how many components there are in a spell, and if there are fewer components, it's fewer actions.
That's cool.
Okay. So maybe they're like, oh man, you cast more spells, so here's more spells to cast.
And one thing that kind of works for a little bit is the fact that wizards are always kind of the utility, the bag of tricks, you know what I mean? And having more and more and more of those is I like that. I like that as a wizard thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue, Eric. Continue.
And it looked like that wasn't necessarily like the amount of spell slots per day they had, but essentially just like your initial starting out list of all the spells and cantrips you had. So it seems like they give you more room to play with. Like necessarily, you're not going to be able to use all 8 first level spells in one go, obviously. But
More
they're
than
giving
double cantrips is already a huge.
yeah, exactly. In comparison to pretty much every other system out there, it's a huge difference. And then just in comparison to, as we were talking about, yes, you got basically verbal and somatic components to spells, and those take actions out of the wizard's turn to cast. And depending on how you use those specific components, like say magic missiles variable, so you can just use a single action to cast like magic missile, get a single dart, but the more actions you spend, like using a arcane focus, using somatic components like waving your hands, ooh, magic missile, you get more individual uses out of that spell. So like say adding a somatic component gives you 2 darts instead of 1. Using the arcane focus, the somatic components and the action give you 3, so on and so forth. So spells have like a little multiplier effect going on them as well, from what I can tell, dependent on the specific spell being used.
That's kind of cool.
So yeah, and they did out the math, and it was like something like 15 individual little missiles if you used every single action at later levels. Like for end game level of magic missile was something to 15 to 17 different little projectiles you could fire.
Kirk, hop up, let's go.
Holy
it ramps
fuck.
up. Yeah.
That
That's
sounds
pretty dangerous.
awesome.
Anything cool about like school specific stuff? Like, are they still going to give us an abjurer and a conjurer and so on?
Well, it sounds like they're going to keep those particular schools, and they're keeping the Universalist. And the Universalist had some actually pretty decent features from what I could tell. You get more uses out of arcane slots, or basically your spell slot.
Grandma,
and
hi, Grandma, I'm on the air,
certain
okay?
schools give you kind of like a recharge
No,
to,
I'm good. Nope.
you know, spend an expended spell slot, a la how 5th edition D&D handles it with, you know, like a per short rest.
Sorry about that.
You get 1 spell slot back.
Yeah, arcane recovery.
Yep. So they have some options similar to that, which are pretty dandy. And the Universalist kind of like focuses around that, from what I could tell. I would need to actually read it over again since I only got to check out the Universalist, but it stood out because it was basically kind of centered around giving your character even more versatility as opposed to staying in a specific school, and that was reflected in basically giving you more slots to cast stuff by recharging them, essentially.
I can dig it.
Which was, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, once I'm out of conversion land, I'll catch up on all this stuff.
Yep. So,
All right.
Let's see. I did a deep dive in ship combat for Starfinder. Still not in love with it, but we'll see where it goes. I'm tweaking it a bit. So, do you want to do some 5e stuff now?
Yeah, the only real 5e news I got is that Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes came out. I paged through it. I was disappointed to see there wasn't actually anything new for halflings. They just kind of like had a bunch of fluff for them. The Githyanki are in there. They looked okay. And I have not really gotten into the monsters, which is the main focus of the tome. So I will give it a harder look next time I'm in the game store.
So, we're doing other RPGs now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody else, you want to talk about 5th edition? Anybody else? Anybody? No?
I don't
Yeah,
have
like Mordekainen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what's up? No, go for it, Eric.
Oh, yeah, like Mordekainen's was the only major thing that's come out recently, and it's kind of waiting for, you know, another announcement or anything kind of really at this point. Like,
I have to say, on the subject of 5th ed, which is not... Kangoo drive me up a wall.
Why?
Like, mechanically, they're so dumb.
You want to elaborate
So
on that?
the mimicry thing, that they have where they like can't actually speak their own words. They can only mimic other people's words.
Yeah.
How in the world are you supposed to be a Kangoo wizard or a bard or whatever? Like, you can never cast a spell that you haven't heard someone cast.
Ooh, ugly.
Yeah, that's an annoying thing to do.
Yeah, like, it's really, really dumb.
Yeah, I remember looking at the Kangoo.
I'm playing one currently. Oh, go ahead.
I remember looking at them when we were making the Tengu in 5th edition and Mists of Akuma, and me and Luis talked about it. We were like, we really don't want to make these things Kenku, because we were like, well, should we just, reskin the Kenku? And like, no, this thing looks like it would be horrible to play.
This is dumb.
Yeah, well, it's so connected to, like, their backstory about how they were created as, like, birds who could fly, and, like, they stole the gift of speech from the creator who got all pissy about it, and, like, essentially took away their voices, and the quote-unquote spark of creativity, which, whatever the hell that is, which is basically described as, like, oh, man, they can't take positions of leadership because they don't have their own ideas.
So,
and, a Kangoo rogue can't pull off, like, a con that they haven't seen pulled off before. And it's just, it's bad.
So one thing I'll actually
like, I'm
say
specifically... What's that?
I was going to say, one thing that's interesting is, so a character I played for a very, very, very long time on a Star Trek site, I know, but she was very, by the books was her thing. She loved paperwork. And one of the kind of detriments I assigned to her was that she wasn't creative. And actually, it's a much harder challenge than you think when you're role-playing, because coming up with the weird, crazy solution is like 90% of what happens, but she got really good at delegating. So she was very efficient at, like, I know this guy's a little off-the-wall thinker, so I'll use him. But, like, it's very interesting to try to play a not creative character. It's very hard. Let's say it took me a long time to get used to it, to try to work around it and weave it in. But it's kind of fun.
Yeah, but I feel like not being a creative person, like, you can still have ideas.
Yeah.
Like,
not
you may not
that
be
point.
good at it, and they may not be off the wall, but, like, I don't know. I'm specifically playing a shoebill Kenku warlock whose ultimate goal is to hunt down the creator and eat them.
But has he seen anybody hunt down the creator? Has he seen anybody, or has she seen anybody hunt down the creator?
Well, the excuse is that she has the Great Old One patron, and the idea is that she believes that they believe rather, that their patron is a dead, like, mostly dead bird god who the creator actually supplanted and claimed to be the creator of the Tengu or Kangoo or whatever. So they are, sort of circumventing this through their patron, especially because they only communicate telepathically. Because that's your Great Old One perk, is you can communicate with someone within 30 feet with telepathy, and that's the only way they talk.
The Corgi has joined us.
Because fuck all of the nonsense that the creator did. They're going to find him and eat him. They've already eaten an imp. Their answer to most things seems to be to eat them.
As one does.
Indeed.
We had to get at least one as one does in here, Savannah.
It's true. Unfortunately, most things are bigger than imps and thus hard to eat when you're a shoebill, because they swallow things whole.
Yes, that does sound a bit difficult to swallow.
Yeah.
I know, it wasn't a good one. So, anything else on 5e, guys?
That's my rant for now.
I'm wondering how long that they're gonna pull out 5e now that they've seen Pathfinder sustain for 10 years.
They're gonna do it for 15.
I hope they stick with it for
already.
longer than before.
And WotC has a terrible tendency to do this every 7 years.
I think we're gonna see it earlier than that, unfortunately. I think it's gonna be about 5.
Well, like I said, 5 years is now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
5
That's
years?
what I'm telling you guys. Like, I'm
Really?
pretty
That's
sure
weird.
Doesn't feel like it's been out for 5 years.
I'm certain the ship's gonna reach port soon. So
Wow. Yeah, I could see 7. Wow.
Yeah.
5 years? Feels like yesterday, man.
I don't know, because they unlike 4th edition where they planned for a lot of success. I don't know if they were as intent on the planning now, and I'm just wondering what the next move's going to be. It'd be interesting to.
Well, we always talk about branding.
I wish I was going to PaizoCon because I would totally court to Eric and be like, "Hey, man, what do you think?" But, not you, the other Eric. But
Yeah.
yeah. Although I am interested in what you think, Eric. What do you think about that? Do you think 5e is going to turn into 6e in the next 2 years, or what?
Well, that one's really hard to call, and especially when you take a look at the glacial pace of
Releases.
Every new book that comes out for 5th edition's kind of spaced out at like, that 6-month interval. In comparison to like if you take a look at 4th edition D&D specifically, and how there's basically a book out every other month, if not almost monthly, in some circumstances. That they were kind of originally planning for 5th edition to be around for considerably longer.
So Highland Panda says in before they announced 5.5 at Gen Con.
Yeah, fair. That's the big.
You know what? That's actually really good point. A 5.5 because they were definitely pleased with how 3.5 turned out.
let's just do the same thing we did last time. It'll work great. Damn the the context, but whatever. People like 0.5s. Yeah, it's like the Cardassian thing from Star Trek. Do you like this painting? Would it be better if it was blue? Just context, man.
The answer is yes, by the way.
Yeah,
so,
like the game, and it was that 2nd edition was announced. Like Paizo had held off on that. I think 5th edition would have been kind of more on a consistent extended lifespan, but at this point it's really kind of up in the air.
Oh yeah, it can't possibly because they wouldn't I mean, I'm sure Hasbro would, but the designers themselves probably would not be on board to release concurrently or even immediately after 2e. Yeah. Oh shit, they probably have at least another 3-4 years in the can.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that 5.5 comment was on.
Yeah.
On fucking point, Alien Panda. Yeah.
All right. So anything else on 5e?
No, that'll do me.
Right.
Yeah. No, I'm good.
So, Mike, what is this with Origins here on other RPG news?
So,
yes.
I haven't heard about this.
Somebody over there wasn't vetting their guests of honor.
Okay.
And they invited this dude who was upset that he was just a New York Times bestseller and he wasn't winning awards. So he tried to co-opt a voting block for the Hugo Awards.
Oh, I think I've heard something about this.
Yeah, the Sad Puppies guy basically got invited.
Yeah.
Oh, what? He's an asswipe? And then disinvited him. So, I don't know. I was going to go to Origins, and now I'm like, you guys didn't even Google this fucking guy. Like, why would I? Come on. Like, if you don't care enough about your convention to Google your guests of honor, but you want me to pay you money to go to it. Like, it's 2 seconds.
When is Origins?
It's the Gamma runs it. It's a convention in...
yeah, but when is it?
June 10th or something. It's next month. It's when stuff's out of time because I have the card.
Yeah, no, I feel like the retraction... Actually, when did the retraction happen? Because I read about it recently, but did it happen? Yeah.
It was
anyway, I wonder if their about face happened in time to get literally anyone back.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Definitely disenchanted me.
Maybe for people that weren't really present, I think it was within like almost only 24 hours or so they put the retraction out. But that initially, we just announced this guy as our guest of honor. That's the damage is already done at that point.
Yeah.
So possibly they might have saved some, but definitely not all. It's going to be unfortunate.
So, do we want to talk about the Warhammer thing, Mike?
Sure. They're releasing Warhammer novels for kids. Like, aimed...
Yeah, I know, Eric! That was our reaction, too. So, okay, to be fair, I'm not actually super against this. Like, I've seen really nice things done with, like, earlier, young versions of other stuff, and some of the YA stuff is still pretty young, but it's aimed at a very young audience, and the kind of core thing is in the grim darkness. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's all about like intolerance and like cool, dude. But like, you're gonna have to like put a very nice filter on that and really like shake out what you can get.
I wouldn't balk at giving an 8-year-old a regular Warhammer 40k book, and if that kid wants to read that book, like, God bless you, you're gonna be a motherfucking dark genius. Like, honest to God, who thinks that I mean, you'd have to dumb it down, and if you're dumbing it down, like, my question is why? And this is just more in my head, Games Workshop trying to license everything out because they know the end is near.
I don't think the end is near, dude.
Well, and kids are a big market. Just ask YouTube.
Yep. Well, so I actually posted about this, and James Gray, who does a lot of stuff at game shops, was like, "No, we sell a lot of stuff to kids like that, and a lot of books that we sell are aimed at kids, and it's not necessarily 40K, but there's that overlap. You know, there is that market, and from a business perspective, it's a very smart idea. I mean, was this content the best fit?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to force anyone to stop buying Warhammer stuff.
No.
So, like, yeah, on their hands, I guess it was a good business move. I feel it's unnecessary. I would just put
the moral lesson of today's story is to get off my ship, Space Marine.
Yeah.
See, I'm waiting, though, for the 8-year-old Space Marine to show up, because please, God, let the neckbeards just explode.
I'll buy the book where an 8-year-old Inquisitor calls down an Exterminatus. I'll buy it.
I think that is one of the most Mike things I've ever heard you say, Mike.
Thank you.
I think that would be pretty good. And the first one's dealing with Necrons, and I'm just like, oh boy! At least, you know, they didn't have the sex grenade, you know, Marines coming in. Cool.
Yeah, what happens when Slaanesh gets up in this business?
I know. I'm just like, now we're gonna have
Sex Marines? Could you expand on that a little?
Well,
Slaanesh.
so Slaanesh is the god of excess and a lot of sex and stuff. His demonettes are
sensation.
Yeah. So the Chaos Space Marines of Slaanesh may or may not be maddened sex fiends, so desensitized to all forms of sensation that only the greatest pleasures and pains.
More famous Slaaneshi ones are the noise blaster dudes who have proven themselves deaf because they want to hear everything.
Because they're like rock Marines. I fucking love that part.
Ooh.
But yes, there's a reason this is an interesting universe. But I'm just like, when the rape demons come, I'm just maybe not good for ages. Let's see, what is it? Ages, I think it's 8 to 14 or something.
I imagine it's going to be largely space comedy stuff where they're the admirals and so on. Age 12?
Age 8 to 12
Let's give them a real fucking book.
8 to 12 here.
I promise you, the 9-year-old Mike, if somebody would have given me a Warhammer 40k novel, I would have been all up inside.
Yeah. But I think it's also
now.
I think it's also for the parents though, going, "Hey, do you want rape Marines? Because I don't think we should be doing this." But kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, and get the idea that these are generally the bad guys and doing the bad things.
Yeah, I don't think a kid's going to read a Warhammer 40k, think about Chaos Space Marines and be like, "Oh yeah, blood for corn," and like seriously be looking to get blood for corn.
If they are, there's a bit more going on there that you might need to address.
Probably a bigger problem involved than reading a book.
But yes, so good marketing or good business move, questionable content choice. So let's see. Anything else we want to talk about?
The Deadpool 2 movie. Oh, we're moving on to
other media of interest. Okay, so
Deadpool 2 was fucking. It was as good as everyone tells you.
Yep.
Infinity War or Gauntlet, whatever. I was like, okay.
All right. So
like Deadpool 2 had me laughing and like, oh, it was fantastic.
So without big spoilers, I thought it was a really clever misdirect with how much they featured X-Force.
Oh yeah, the X-Force stuff. Oh my god,
yep.
X-Force.
My favorite damn scene. I thought about it like 2 days later and still laughed about it. What?
You're exhausting. Oh, that was fucking so good. The script was so good.
And I like that they actually made it mean something. Like they actually had a. I mean, it was a little hard.
Deadpool always has a message. I've actually really really impressed.
They made it mean something by fridging a lady, though.
Yeah, I did not enjoy that. I thought Inara was...
And they specifically were like, oh, fridging's a thing? We didn't know fridging was a thing. I don't think it should matter.
And I really hope they have some way to get her back. Because she's like 90% of the fun I had in that movie. I know that sounds bad, but I love their dynamic way too much.
The transformation for Deadpool from like villain to anti-hero to almost hero is really impressive for me.
Yep.
And there is a positive message in the first Deadpool movie, and they make a small reference to it in the second one, and the positive message is maximum effort.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, shit, that is really good for Deadpool, and that is actually a really good message. You should always give maximum effort, like, fuck yeah, Deadpool, good job.
What's his the guy who runs the bar? What's his name? The actor? He's gotten some shit recently.
The Indian dude?
No. The guy with the glasses and the long hair.
The one who got arrested by the FBI last month.
Yeah. That's not.
I thought about that after seeing Deadpool 2, and I was like, that was a bet from Ryan Reynolds. That was a Ryan Reynolds drunk bet. That had to be what that shit was. The Deadpool costume was around, and people were drinking, and that shit happened. That's my money. That's my money on the story. We'll hear about it in 15 years.
So, do we want to talk about the Thundercats thing?
Oh, sure.
All right, Eric, you have
the reboot.
Yeah. God, and it just like every time I go and look at my Facebook feed, and there's a lot of people that enjoyed like the original show. It's just like a never-ending dumpster fire. So it's like I
think
grew
something
up
we have to acknowledge. What's that?
It's a lot of people are very upset with that art style. Is what it comes down to. I think
something we have to acknowledge, though, is the Thundercats. It may be nostalgic. It's nostalgic for me, too, but I'm not sure that it was ever good.
I have rewatched some Thundercats. It holds up better than a lot of other stuff. Like He-Man doesn't hold up at
all. No, it does not.
Teenage Mutant Turtles is a hit or miss. I'm talking the original Teenage Mutant Turtles, not any of the things that followed. What else? Mega Man did better than I thought it would. Mighty Max actually holds up very well, which was surprising.
So I went and rewatched the original Gundam, 79 Gundam.
I don't think I could.
I never watched it in its entirety. It holds up near the end really well, but in the beginning it is just painful. And I'm watching Zeta right now slowly, and it is. I still can't stand Camille at all. He's just a war criminal, and I hate him.
I'll stick around for the ending on Zeta.
I'm going to, and I'm trying.
See, what I want to see is a remake of Pirates of Darkwater.
Oh my god!
If we're gonna start rebooting that era, it holds the fuck up.
Yes, that was one of the best shows of that time.
So anyway,
it never got to any sort of reasonable conclusion, and I will never forgive Cartoon Network for it.
So anyway, so if you guys don't know, they're rebooting Thundercats, and they're using what's it called? The thin line art style. There's another art.
Cal Arts.
Yeah, but there's also the term thin line or whatever. But yeah, it's pioneered at Cal Arts. You've seen it in things like Steven Universe or Gravity Falls and that stuff. And you know what? It's not my thing. I'm willing to kind of throw up my hands and go, I'm probably not going to watch it, but I probably wasn't the audience that was going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hope they do well, and I hope it's a good show, and I hope they do their own thing. But you know what? You don't have to like it.
I hope they address the existential horror that is Lino, going to sleep a 10-year-old and waking up a 21-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Muppet Babies a lot. I don't know what.
Mike, now the Muppet Baby theme is in my head, Mike. Thanks. But yeah, I don't know. People have been getting all riled up about it, and I've just been on my Facebook going, guys, spend your hate somewhere else. There's a lot more stuff to be bitchy about. Like, if this is all you're bitching about, go somewhere else, guys. This isn't aimed at you. I mean, cool if it is, but like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's like a property where I'd be actually angry if they chibified it, and it's Warhammer 40k, and I'm not angry. So.
But we kind of have that. Have you seen the artwork for the Warhammer Adventure thing?
Yeah,
it's pretty cutesy.
Yeah, that's like I was like, what would really like not fit in Warhammer 40k? Do I care? No.
No, like dude.
Jesus.
Okay, here's the thing. You just know I'm huge in the public domain because I like the transition of media, and I think that when something grows in one way or another, it's kind of important that it has the ability to do that and see what works and what doesn't. And I think that one of the biggest strengths of the public domain is that should something go into it, you could see 5 competing ideas, and then the ones that were really good keep going, and then that mythos grows and grows and grows and grows. So we're seeing them test the waters here, and if they go, wow, that was really shitty, whatever. Like, go watch old Voltron and then watch the DreamWorks one, and I'll tell you right now, the DreamWorks one was about 1,000,000 times better.
Ooh, okay. Not sure if I agree with that.
Oh, come on, man.
1,000,000 times better?
Okay, 1,000,000, okay. Much better, still.
50% better? 30% better?
I'll take what I can get from you, Mike.
But, like...
I'll agree with 1,000,000. Don't worry. Don't worry, Scott. I got your back.
I really enjoy the sharp writing on the later series. Anyway. So we won't spoil Infinity Wars. Damn, though. Damn, they pulled that.
I have so many feelings when we talk about it. I have feelings, and y'all better buckle down.
How long has it been? Has any of us not seen Infinity Wars yet?
Hold on, let me fix this.
I've not seen it. I've just read a lot of reviews.
Okay. Has anyone not seen it and cares?
So wait, are we allowed to spoil Infinity Wars?
I think at this point we are.
It's been a couple weeks.
I don't feel so good.
Wait.
Okay.
There you go. And all of a sudden your feed just cuts. So yes, Marvel broke all their $6 billion toys on screen in like an emotional, gut-wrenching way. And oh my God, they killed everybody, and it was wonderful. And you know what? Good.
And it has no pathos because everyone and their dog knows they're coming back in the next movie.
Here.
So no, wait, why are you all emotionally? I was more emotionally invested in Ant-Man than this movie.
I don't know. I had a great time.
I'm emotionally invested because of the Soul Stone scene with Thanos and Gamora, and I will never be okay with it.
I mean, that was good.
But think of it this way, okay, guys?
No, it's that it counted. It's that Thanos killing Gamora counted as you have to kill a loved one.
Even though she didn't love him.
He didn't love her. You can't tell me he loved her.
So, here's the thing, though, okay?
Like, he may have been obsessed. He may have seen himself as a father figure. He may have thought he loved her, but that's not love. None of that is love.
If you can sacrifice him, it's not love.
Okay.
So, here's the thing. Thanos had a hero's journey, though.
Galaxy of the Guardians 2?
What?
Wasn't that also Galaxy of the Guardians 2? Like, except it wasn't Gamora and Thanos, it was, Star-Lord and his dad.
A little bit. I mean, that's 90% of the Marvel Universe stories is, having the reunion with the parent, coming to terms with the parent, understanding what it means to be a parent. I mean, that's like 90% of the stuff. But can we talk about how Thanos had a goddamn hero's journey?
Oh, well, I mean, that's just movie writing.
Yeah, but
story writing.
But we got the major villain to have a hero's journey in, like, basically his first big outing. That's awesome.
My friend called it, Thanos' Psyche, the movie.
Yeah, really, dude.
Yeah.
Great. I like how they juggled all the storylines and they knew they couldn't do a single movie. I don't know. I really hope... I like what this means for other franchises when the big boy in the room goes ahead and says, guys, it's cool to kill plot armor, at least temporarily. I'm waiting for characters to be like, Game of Thrones did it. Infinity Wars does it. Murder time! And I'm like, yes! I would love to see a reduction in plot armor.
Something the chairman brought up. Red Skull was giving the test. Was nobody else like, the fuck are you doing there, Red Skull?
Right.
Like, I understand, like, Cosmic Cube and all that, but, like, Red Skull does not strike me as anyone that I would ever put as, like, the judge of other anything. Right? Like... Was that canonical? Because I have a bunch of Infinity Gym shit upstairs, but I don't remember that.
So I know it wasn't. I don't think it was ever in the comics. One thing that's interesting though is he's been absent from the movies because who's playing him?
The guy who played Elrond?
Yeah, Agent Smith.
Yeah.
What the hell is his name?
Agent Smith.
That guy.
Agent Elrond.
Yeah, Agent Elrond. So
None of us know his name.
Oh my god, I'll have to look it up. Anyway, so
Hugo Weaving.
Hugo Weaving, thank you. Hugo Weaving was like, I had fun playing this character. I'm done playing this character, and that's why they didn't put him in any other movies. So he with his blessing, someone else played him, and you didn't even notice. So
yeah, well, I mean, it's a red face ultimate villain. Like, it wasn't like a Tim Curry performance in the first one, right? Like, it was, he wasn't. Hugo Weaving didn't do bad. It's just not a. It's not a big role.
No,
is my point. Yeah, I don't know.
Inter-joke here about facial expressions and skulls.
Insert laugh track here in response to.
Ooh. Yeah.
Was there anything in Infinity Gauntlet where I was just like, God damn, that's awesome?
Well, one thing that I noticed is they kind of reversed Gamora and Nebula's roles from the comic.
Yeah.
Because in the comic, Nebula's the one who runs up and is all like, I'm a badass, I'm going to try to fight you and everything, and then gets her ass kicked. And Gamora got in this one. And Nebula just got to sit there and be like,
I think I was a little surprised and invested when Loki died.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know they've come out and said.
I thought that was a lame death for Loki, by the way.
Oh yeah, you can't kill Tom Hiddleston like that. I gotta say,
I'm trying to it would be an interesting way to wrap up his character arc. Like, I feel like I personally could accept it.
I don't know, the internet couldn't.
I just thought the way it went about was that wasn't super deceptive or anything, bro. Like, I don't think anybody was surprised when the dagger came out. Like, come on, Loki, you can do better than that. Like, you get a dagger behind his head or something, like you're fucking deception god.
There should have been at least a bit more to
dagger.
So here's a question. I mean, they've come out and said, no, they're really dead, and I don't believe that for a split second.
Oh, yeah.
But the question is, they are going to keep some people dead. I wonder who it's going to be.
Oh, I assumed that this was all a move so they can recast people with lower contract numbers.
That wouldn't be fun for me. Also, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I'm saying what I think it is. Like, we know Captain America doesn't want to come back. Didn't he die?
No, he didn't.
He didn't die?
No.
Okay.
He didn't die, which means he's going to have to do the sacrifice thing in the next movie. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for the entire season was like, Thanos is coming. There's going to be something bad. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And then they didn't do it. It pissed me the hell off. I'm really pissed. And they're not coming back for a year. They're not coming back till after next Avengers movie. I'm really pissed about that.
Can't say I really follow up on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
It's really good when it wants to be. But the problem is, they acknowledge the movie stuff. The movie stuff never even tosses them a chicken bone.
Yeah.
It pisses me off.
I wonder if the next movie we're not going to be following the characters that survived.
That's possible.
Well, all the high bill people survived. Tony Stark survived. Captain America survived, and we know that guy doesn't want to play Captain America anymore. Bruce Banner survived. All Thor, all these people I'm looking at are the ones that I assume command the most money in their contracts.
Well, we'll see.
Except for Samuel L. Jackson.
So, just for context, the next two movies are taking place before Infinity Wars. So we're having Ant-Man take place before Infinity War, apparently, and the Captain Marvel movie, what was in the end credit scene, was
the 1990s.
Yep, which is weird because we're getting the 20-year cycle going back to 1990s, and that's a little unsettling for me. That means Smash Mouth and NSYNC are gonna be cool in a few years, and Frosted Tips, and I'm not ready for that. Retro cool.
I'm ready for 90s aesthetic. I can deal with that.
Yeah, but we won't be cool. Mike will be too old to pull it off.
Oh no, I'm only like 9 hours old right now, so it's all good.
Sounds great. All right. So do we want to move on to the current Kickstarters?
Yeah, Savannah's in one right now.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
You beat me to posting it up, so I don't have another Kickstarter. So I guess we'll just focus on this one.
I have one to kind of talk about, but it's not current. So
see if I'm backing anything right now other than this one. But please tell us about Alessia.
I backed this one. I already did. Savannah?
Let me bring up the Kickstarter thing for it. Sorry, this is difficult for my phone.
It is space fantasy stuff.
So, Mike,
yes.
while she's pulling it up, what do you
and
know
the
about
artwork is very, very good.
Can you post it in the chat here?
I did. Oh, do you want one in here too?
Yeah, I'll pull it up for a sec. I'm a background.
It's for Lavi and for Starfinder. It's from Storm Bunny Studios, which is run by Jason Sanya and licenses Mists of Akuma from me.
But yeah, I don't know. I really dug the kind of aesthetic they were going with. I'm not convinced they're gonna fund though. They're asking for $15K.
Oh, he's gonna make it. He's past the hump, and he's more than halfway.
Maybe I'm just being a little.
I mean, he's not gonna make it in spades, but it's gonna fund.
But say maybe I'm just being a bit jaded from my last experience. But yeah,
well, you're funded, so maybe shut the fuck up.
I know. We pushed it a little bit more than we thought we'd get for it, and we got the 2K, so I'm happy. Not a big one.
I'm not touching any of that.
So,
But yeah, science fantasy. I'm doing bird people for it. I'm super pumped.
That's pretty cool. So,
also, have you seen the familiars? Oh my god, they're adorable.
That's the important part.
There's cats with wings, and like there's an electric bunny with a funky unicorn horn. Like, so here for it.
So,
Kangoo? Is that the name of the people you're designing? The Kangoo?
Not the Kangoo, the Kangoo.
Kangoo.
So, can I talk about one that's coming up?
Go for it.
Yeah, go for it.
So Kevin Glusling was talking about doing his. If you hasn't seen his, was it Book of Many Things? You guys ever seen that?
I think so.
So basically, what he does is he puts out a PDF and it costs a certain amount of money, and then he keeps expanding the PDF and you get a better version of it. But every time he does it, the price goes up a little bit. So it's a huge book. You can get it really cheap off the bat, and then he keeps expanding it with more and more content. And it's really cool to see him keep working on it. I actually helped edit some stuff for. Cause I wrote a writing prompt. I'm like, hey guys, how would you do this? And me and him both wrote a class and kind of cross notes. And so I'm going to be. I can say now that I'm going to be a major contributor to it. I'm doing at least a few thousand words, a few entries in it. And I'll probably end up doing other duties on it. It's fun. So he's doing another one, and he's going to kickstart the start of it. I think that's what he did with Volume 2. I think this is going to be Volume 3. So he's going to kickstart the book, and I know he was soliciting a few pitches recently. And I was like, hey, man, I got all this first edition Pathfinder stuff I don't think I can publish. And this is some of the best stuff that we have edited and finished or close to. Do you want it? He's like, oh, dude. So I started working with him, and that was the initial pitch, and then we moved on from there. And it's going to be a great book. I've seen some of the stuff he does. He's a great designer if you haven't seen some of his stuff.
I have some Atlantis stuff I could give him.
I would check with him what he's looking for. I know he might be full up. He's paying good money for it, too. But
he's done. So I just, the publisher just abandoned me after I finished everything. I was super pissed. I made a map and everything.
So I'm actually considering, at the end of first edition, before second edition comes out, just making a book called The Kitchen Sink, and just be like, publishers, stuff you never finished. Here we go. And then
that sounds very salty, and I love it.
I think it would be really fun to be like, this is the I always wanted to publish but I couldn't put out, but it's already done. And I'm not sure if we have Eric.
I forgot about this industry thing. Oh my god. I'm sorry. Continue. I'll bring
No, that's all I got. His Kickstarter's coming up in a little bit. Also, the Naghual Kickstarter, guys, you should donate. Oh wait, it's already passed.
Imperial Matchmaker will reboot sometime in June or July with Trade War already done. So the any final submission came up, to get stuff into the Ennies to be judged at Gen Con, maybe win an award and all that shit. And they sent out the email, and I didn't notice anything.
But
then I got another.
Eric here.
Oh, did we lose Eric?
I don't know. I can't pull him up.
Oh no.
Well, hopefully he'll be back.
All right, so go ahead.
Did you get this email, guys, or was it just me and I don't know, 500 other people? because they're all in the CC.
I don't
Everybody
remember.
on the NE's Awards email list is now in this email in my inbox.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, really. I couldn't fucking believe it because like I didn't think anything that I got another email.
Out like they like blind carbon copy. Just did CC.
Just CC'd everybody.
God.
I was
Ooh.
I was like,
just me and 500 other people.
Scrolls forever. Yeah.
Well, you know what everyone's promotional list is gonna look like now.
Right? I was thinking like, should I have used it? I probably won't because I'm not.
No, that's gonna end up being a little.
Yeah, I was. Well. Yeah, I was like, oh my god. All right. Well, normally we close with Eric or the guest talking, so let's give Eric another minute or two to come back.
Yeah. So, any other topics you guys hit up recently?
Did we mention that Pathfinder is on Roll20 now? They're putting out adventures on Roll20.
No, I didn't even hear about that.
I don't think we have. That's exciting.
They are. They're putting out adventures on Roll20. I would sign up to help do that, but I hate the Pathfinder sheet on Roll20, and it's a bunch of work to put stuff into it. So
I gotta say, like, everyone puts all these virtual tabletops, but largely I'm just kind of like, Roll20 works just fine for me, man. Like, I've run stuff with like Google Hangouts and whatever. Like, so to me, everything else is just icing on the cake. And they're like, oh, this one has music and this and that and the other thing. I'm just like, does it roll a dice and can I move markers around? Cool. Like that's like you don't need much when you're
Roll20 has no paywall. They have a 20 million user base. Like,
yeah.
This fight's over.
and people keep being like, guys, we have huge news. Really big. We're launching our own virtual tabletop, and I'm like,
yeah,
cool. Didn't Paizo say they were launching one, and like, did it ever come to fruition?
Which one?
Paizo said they were launching one.
Oh no, that never came. I have no idea.
Yeah, because they made a big announcement at the PaizoCon I was at. Was it PaizoCon? At something I was at.
4 years ago, and you don't know about it, man. It didn't happen.
Yeah, I remember like there was a beta for it, and I don't think it ever came to like anything. And they were like super into it. And everyone was clapping so hard. I just remember sitting there being like, okay. I see Kingmaker still cooking along though. I like that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Kingmaker coming out in August.
Yeah.
I've been playing Divinity Original Sin 2. It's amazing. And a Tesseract. I opened it and I'm like, okay, just 20 minutes. I look at the clock and it's like, it's been 3 fucking hours. Oh my god!
I recently, as you guys saw my stream on this Twitch channel, I replayed. Cause I never played Dragon Age. I replayed all of that. Oop, and we lost him. And I'm gonna do Awakening. I think Inquisition at some point. But I got Dawn of War 2, who's on a super deep sale recently.
Oh, Dawn of War 2 is fucking great.
And it is fucking great. God. And that's one of those things like, I'll just do a mission. I'm gonna clear the whole map. It'll be fun. 3 hours? 2 hours? 20 minutes? What? Like, just look down and look back up and you're like, oh, everything's done. Also, scouts, man. Fucking scouts in that game. Oh, I've had so much fun with scouts. Like, everything else can just go die in a fire. I've just had so much fun. They're like, well, maybe you should choose your assault troops. I'm like, scouts. Don't worry, they're just little recruits. But they have like a one-shot infantry kill. Oh, the big boss over there? Done. Oh, there's a building over there? Demolitions. Done. Whatever. You should put a dreadnought in the slot. Nope, scouts.
And you only got did you get all the Dawn of War 2 games or just the one?
Just the first one. I actually originally got it. I know it sounds bad. I'll get the other ones at some point.
Yeah, the planetary campaigns.
I got a bunch of free stuff because I signed up with some account. But I didn't get like Chaos Rising and stuff. But I got it honestly because I work on this big 40K wiki and I wanted to use the Army Painter for a thing. So. And I'm like, all right, I did all the stuff I want to do with the Army Painter. I guess I should play the game now. And it was damn good, so whatever.
Yeah, Dawn of War is a huge fan of the Dawn of War series. Dawn of War 3 is actually a letdown.
Yeah, I heard that. I was going to grab that too, and I'm like, all the reviews said, total shit, do not buy. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, total shit, no, but it's definitely a step down, even from the first one.
I like how like this one makes you control things in squads.
What is it? They wanted to make it like focused on the characters way too fucking hard, and they took away all the customization.
Oh my god! So okay, that's a valid point. I would not like to see that. Every game should have a Steve Blum in it. Every game should have Steve Blum. Cassius, the scout guy, is Steve Blum. Dragon Age had what's his name, the dwarf, as Steve Blum voiced him, and just every game should just have Steve Blum.
I hated the dwarf in Dragon Age.
Yeah, me too, and I hated him, and that's why I only kept him in the party because he had Steve Blum's voice for like half of it. And Steve Blum is the guy who voices Spike Spiegel, by the way, guys, from Cowboy Bebop.
I will take your word for it.
He is, and he's in like everything. He's really prolific, and whenever I hear it, like, I'm straight, but I'm like, man, even spaghetti gets, a little bendy and hot when it's hot. I'm like, that voice, man, ASMR is hell.
Scott wants to stop the show.
All right, guys.
This is the end. Unfortunately, we do not have the free discussion for the guests this week. Maybe eventually we'll have Erik back sometime.
After we hit 50, right?
I'd like to do 100 before we have a repeat.
I think that's gonna be a little.
I think that's an unreasonable number.
But yeah, 50 or so. All right, guys.
You always tell me things are unreasonable, Savannah, and then I'm like, no, we can do it. And then like 5 months later.
All right, guys. So thanks for joining us.
Not gonna touch that, dude.
Yep, Savannah, Mike, Steve Blum's voice. Thank you very much for accompanying us, and have a nice one.
Yeah.